So it's really interesting, right? So I think I've the benefit of getting to work in B2C and B2B, and in B2C, mobile has taken over on a lot of our accounts as bigger than desktop as an ordering solution. That hasn't quite happened in B2B. I think in B2B, it's far more about how the two work together. I think most people that we speak to who are using these platforms have a desktop shop for the core things that they're buying. But I think what mobile brings to it is allowing you to add in things, whether you see something in a trade magazine or an advertisement or a piece of MPD on a poster by your bus stop. And it allows you to gap fill, potentially using the scanning ability that some of these apps have as well. So for me, I think it's about having both, which is the people who I'd see having most success are the ones who are managing to bring mobile and desktop together as one sort of solution for the whole shopping journey.
Excellent. So Mushtaq, obviously with JJ, you have an awful lot of things going on, different audiences and different platforms. So what have you seen from your perspective?
Well, it's an interesting area because we offer truly multi-channel, and it's not only when I say multi-channel, it's not only digital, it's like the old-fashioned channels as well. So which is telesales. We recently got rid of the fax model and the voicemail model. Those were like very old-fashioned and very cumbersome to manage. But apart from that, the field sales reps knocking on the door, telesales people taking phone calls, face-to-face counter sales when customers actually turn up. They may have done a click and collect order, but then forgot something else while they are on site. They will go to the counter and again add on extra things, as Lottie was referring to earlier on. Now, on the particular question of web versus mobile, our experience is even the B2B customers are getting quite tech savvy nowadays. And the reason behind that, they're actually on the move all the time. Whether it's a chef or the owner of the restaurant or the bar manager or the restaurant manager, because in their B2C life, because don't forget, these B2B businesses are also run by the consumers at one stage, right? A restaurant owner also is a homeowner, so he's ordering from Amazon or eBay or Tesco or Ocado and so on. So I think that boundary or that gap is narrowing quite fast. And the positive side of that is basically these B2B customers are now being very demanding from their B2C experience of the software, whether it's mobile application or whether it's a website designed for a particular task. Now, because we deal mainly with caterers, so they have got a set pattern or a certain behavior, because if you think about it, their menu actually do not change, right? As a consumer, you may feel like today having steak and tomorrow like, I don't know, lasagna or whatever it is. But a restaurant menu is fixed for 6 months, right? So their shopping pattern is slightly different than how you behave on a consumer-driven e-commerce site. So we found, even from our own internal statistics, most of our customers are using mobile. What I mean by that is, like, when they're using the digital platform, and we have got a very high uptake ratio, like 70% of our orders are coming from the digital channel. But out of that, again, probably almost 65 to 70% of that is coming from mobile apps rather than a desktop website type of interaction. So that is sort of our experience. But it didn't just happen overnight. I mean, if you think about it, our e-commerce journey began late part of 2008. And then the app came October 2014, right? So it's almost 6 years out with our app journey, whereas almost 11, 12 years with our web journey. The app is now definitely dominating within our customer base. That's our experience.
And Andy, I guess from your point of view, kind of, obviously you do both sides, but retail facing as well, that kind of comes with a different set of challenges, doesn't it? And I know that there are obviously also different resource issues as well for other wholesalers.
Yeah, I just want to comment on some of the stuff, things that Mushtaq said. Well, between like, Lottie kind of summarised it exactly. I was like, oh, okay, I've got nothing to say now, to be honest. In terms of the fact that, yeah, our customers are absolutely using both. So when we pull the data for our customers, they're using both. But it's really interesting the difference between kind of our customer base and Mushtaq's. We've got a situation where we are about 30% of our business is via mobile rather than, so it's predominantly desktop, and that's obviously dictated, I think, a lot in terms of what the style of the customer base is. In terms of, we've got a lot of retailers with scanning systems, and they're attached to a desktop, and that's the primary method of placing orders. But chunks of those retailers are also using. We don't have an app as such. We've just got a web. Our website is mobile enabled, so it replicates pretty well as an app on the phone. It's not perfect, but it's there or thereabouts. It's got a scanning facility, so we know quite a lot of retailers also use the scanning facility to top their basket up, which of course is a shared basket on the desktop. But I do find it interesting that Mushtaq's got an awful lot more people using mobile, which I think is, as he said, is down to the style of that customer in terms of working in that kind of busy environment, around about, in and out of a pub or a bar or whatever, or in and out of the kitchen. The frustration, or the interesting thing for him perhaps here, is that we've got our business split is about 80-20. On 80% is grocery, traditional grocery wholesale. About 20% is food service and on-trade. Pretty strong on-trade business. We've got about 350 publicans. Trying to get them onto digital at all has been hard work. And then trying to get them into anything that resembles a mobile phone is even harder. So there must be some crossover in terms of that customer base in terms of to Mushtaq, and yet you've got people mirror using it. We cannot. It's got very, very difficult to get the on-trade to embrace this. And if anything, they're the ones that really need it, to be absolutely honest, because they're wedded to traditional sales methods and trying to pick the phone up or speaking to people, and they're the ones that always end up ringing up 2 hours after they should have placed an order because they forget, whereas they could have filled the basket. And we've been through all of these benefits with them, and they're still, nah, I'll just be incompetent almost. It's like, we can really help you here, but the uptake's been particularly small. I think the only thing I'd say is from a, what's the benefits between mobile and desktop? Desktop is clearly easier, and we also know that we've got an awful lot of retailers that have got four and five suppliers screens and open at one time and do a straight price comparison, which is a lot more tricky on a mobile, to be fair, isn't it? So there's some other benefits there to being desk bound, to be honest. But there's definitely it's a blending of both routes, without a doubt.
I mean, how interesting, Andy. I mean, how do you decide in terms of where you're going to put your time and resource into when it comes to this? Because obviously it sounds like you can see the benefits, you can have plenty of ideas, but you also need to make sure that you're tendering something. I guess one part of the country and one sort of customer base acts differently to perhaps another one somewhere else.
I wouldn't say we've seen that as our customer base. It's pretty universal. On-trade just don't seem to. We find it really hard to get them to engage. Our retail business is, as I said, is nearly, it will be 95% almost exclusively being placed by the web in some way, shape or another. A bit like Mushtaq, we are multi-channel as well. We've got customer service. We do take telephone orders, and we do some outbound telesales, but not as much. So it's still multi-channel in that way. And some of those, to a greater or lesser degree, some of those retailers will ring up and add to orders or top up during the week. But some, you'll have zero interaction from a people point of view, other than a sales force going out there, because they're managing everything through the website.